Welcome back everyone to our 7th episode of the Here Now community channel. Today we have our 6th guest joining us back from my hometown, Oradea, Romania. Our guest today is a creator. Her expertise lies in fields such as marketing, brand management and communication. With more than 15 years of experience in the industry, she's managed not only to change and build company brands, but she managed to change and build herself as a person and as a successful entrepreneur. Her name is Oana Mudura and she will delight us today with some of her stories. Oana, welcome to our show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
So Oana, how are you? How are you occupying your time these days?
I'm spending my days, half of them are working and half of them are doing research for my next project.
Your next project?
Yes.
Okay, nice. And basically...
So
working basically,
yes,
like full time. Okay, nice. And anything you're planning doing this summer?
Visiting the country because not much options this year. So I'm planning to go into the mountainside, maybe at the seaside, visiting friends, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay, that's nice.
Exploring Romania more than ever.
More than ever. Okay. Have you been around the country before?
Not that much actually. I've been more around the world than around the country.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, this year sounds like an invitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you've been around the world.
Yeah.
Which is the country that you loved most, and why?
Oh, the country that I love most. Well, it sounds so cliche, but Italy, because it's beauty everywhere. I love the vibe. I love buildings. Yeah, the general vibe. I pay more attention now more than ever to the atmosphere, to the experience, more than to the buildings, let's say. I also liked Costa Rica very much because of the nature and because of the people.
So you've been to the Caribbean?
Yeah, just to Costa Rica, yeah. But as a country who has it all, Italy.
Okay. Costa Rica is now open, by the way, so anybody can travel there again.
Yeah, we're not stuck in Romania. No.
Maybe for the next trip, next world tour, you know? So I remember you told me once that you lived in Amsterdam as well before.
Yes.
Okay, and how did you feel about that?
Oh, I fantasize about Amsterdam. So
Even now? How long ago was that?
Yeah. It has a very, very special place in my heart. It was my home for almost 3 years. I think it's my second home. So yes, I miss Amsterdam very much.
Okay.
And plan to go back as soon as possible.
I mean, I think the country is open. I mean, the Netherlands for sure is open. I'm not sure about Romania if you're allowed to travel.
Well, I would like to say safe for...
oh, right, because the quarantine and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah, fair enough.
And things are getting a bit worse now in Romania. So I'd like to just see how things are going and see how authorities are handling all these events until, travel is safe and in good conditions. Yeah. But Amsterdam is a beautiful place. It's vibrant. It's one of the most elegant cities I've seen. But besides the elegance and the rich history, it has a lot of avant-garde, a lot of innovation. It's my number one destination for creativity. So Amsterdam is very inspiring for a lot of industries, and it was very inspiring for me. I've seen a lot of freedom in people expressing themselves, and a lot of crazy ideas transformed into successful business models.
And yeah, in reality, it's crazy, yeah, because if you look now at Amsterdam South, so the south of the city, it's completely changed. It looks so much different than it was, I think, even 5 years ago. Like you can see so many skyscrapers, it's so much development going on there and so much innovation. You see, even now with the Brexit, there are so many things happening, like around 250 companies came over from the UK only this year.
It's good.
It's insane. The business is booming here, and everybody complains about the crisis, but like these guys are making a lot of money. I mean, at least that's what it seems like. The offices are still empty though, but still everybody's still working from home, which I think is a great idea. And you've done this already for a while, working from home.
Yes. It was actually my dream in 2014 to have a company that I can manage online. I didn't want to be stuck to an office, even though I was building in the most beautiful building in our hometown. It's a palace, actually. So the television was in the palace, and I was going every day to work in a palace. But still, it was not enough. I wanted a very creative job with no fixed office, so I can travel all around the world and work from my laptop. This was my dream, and now it's a norm.
Now we're waiting for the next move, right?
Yeah.
That's nice, and it's great that you have a marketing company that basically does pretty specific things for companies. For example, branding, mission development, vision development, all these kind of things, right?
Yeah. So we build brands from zero. Or we rebrand. We do everything regarding the visual identity, the mission of the company, and all the identity elements. We launch the brand, and then we ensure that the communication strategy is built around the DNA of the brand and on the sales objectives or the marketing objectives. Then we assist the company to reach its goals. Yeah. So that's what we do.
To basically implement those things in depth.
Yeah, that's it.
And I wanted to talk to you about something, because for me as a person, it was always very difficult to be public.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult in the sense that I didn't necessarily like... everybody's now on LinkedIn. Everybody knows that LinkedIn is a professional platform, like a business platform. Facebook is like the private one where everybody throws their stuff. Instagram as well, so it's a mix. But I saw many types of marketing that these guys were doing, where you're commenting at other people's stuff just to gain more probably visibility, or all sorts of techniques that were so in a way they felt very unnatural to me. And when I was thinking then of marketing, I was like, man, this is not my thing. I'm just gonna stay incognito, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm really happy like this. I don't really need to be in front. However, when I decided to, let's say, build my website, create this podcast, and realize eventually that I need this kind of, audience, it felt very uncomfortable, because I was like, I don't want to do those things. I need to find a way not to do them. So what is then comfortable for me to do?
Yeah.
And basically I just came to content creation. So basically I decided to post one article a week on my website. Having the podcast, obviously, it's something, again, tangible that people can see, hear, listen. So basically I chose to do natural ways of marketing rather than, the classical things that I could see on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, ads and all this boring stuff that, in a way may generate money. But I think that it kind of kills a bit the purpose for which I do something,
mm-hmm.
where I do this. And I wanted to ask you, do you have any tips or tricks or in your pocket that would help, let's say, small businesses that feel this way about marketing?
Well, let's take your personal example, because it's very handy and we have the necessary information. First of all, I would give you tips after I would know the answer of some questions, like what is the end goal? Why you want to develop a public image? Why do you want to do this? So what's the purpose? This would be my first question. And how much time, how much effort are you willing to invest in that? And what are the benefits for you? Because if you're connecting to awareness, to sales numbers, for example, you need a strategy, first of all, if you want to achieve your desired results. So if it is connected to sales, you must have a strategy to create content connected to your sales numbers, split into weeks. So you cannot achieve the final result, and maybe that's what scares you from the beginning. You have to split it into very thin slices, and you should increase the effort that you put into those slices as time goes by, because as time goes by, you will feel more comfortable in the situation. And to have a very clear goal in mind, it will make things much easier for you. Now, I don't think the question is concerned to marketing efforts, but I think that you are not very comfortable putting yourself out there because you're a bit shy. So I want to clarify it. Is it true?
That is partially true. And then when I think about it, okay, let me get over my shyness, I would tend to come to the point where I'm supposed to do, let's say, marketing techniques, or to approach different marketing ways that, for example, don't seem natural, for example, to what my end result I want to be, basically. So, for example, my end result is basically people coming out from the show with a story, with some value, you know. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's, again, I'm the kind of person, you know, that if you like something, you like something. If you don't like something, you don't like something. Yeah. And in a way, I don't necessarily, let's say, want to force people into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this would be something that also stops me from maybe going in even deeper into the marketing of.
Yeah. So you have different channels in marketing that you can promote the content that you have. So you should first decide which channel is best for the audience that you have. Where is your audience? Where you can find your audience, and then don't do things that you're not comfortable with. For example, those comments that you mentioned before, or the fake followers, you know, the ones that you buy, that's rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. Why would I do that? You know, why would I get into it?
That's not an ethical marketing technique. Okay, so we're not even getting into that. I know some are popular, and it's always something new appearing that it's gaining new growth. But what I would suggest is just to take it very slow, step by step, and start building something very healthy. So you gain more a bigger sense of comfort in this position, because I think before starting any marketing efforts, you should work on feeling comfortable in your TV show. So I don't think that doing sales or awareness should be your main focus right now, but try to deliver maximum presence for you and for the guests in your show. And then when you feel you're comfortable in that position, focus on maximizing whatever end goal you have. So deliver first quality content, and then think of ways of sharing it.
That makes so much more sense. I mean, that sounds more natural, let's say, to do it. Because when for example, what I do already is sharing the podcast, for example, on the website and the social platforms, and basically that's it, you know. But as you said as well, I tried, let's say, and I'm doing it step by step.
Yeah.
As it's natural, and you know, everybody, it's a beginning, you know. So I think beginnings should be taken easily, you know, just to make sure that, you know, the step creates a footprint which you can reform or reshape, you know. So yeah, that's basically also where I'm at in a way. So, and it feels comfortable, you know, and it feels comfortable. I'm not doing, let's say, anything that forces me to do this. It's just that, for example, when I was reading also a lot of articles on like how to do this kind of things, and, you know, I noticed that everybody was suggesting the other things, you know, the other ways of doing it with comments, hashtags, all sorts of things all over the place. Yeah, they didn't really sound like me. So I decided not to do that.
The hashtags are a different conversation, and it is not included in what I said before, but that's a different conversation. But you have to have in mind your end goal. You cannot build Rome in a day. You cannot eat an elephant all at once. You have to start bite by bite. So first thing I suggest is just feel comfortable in this new position that you have. And when you master your online presence, then you can focus on the marketing efforts. Try to record as many episodes as you can in advance. So focus in a short period of time on producing content. And then, let's say, other weeks, focus on distributing the content. So if you have a lot of episodes shot in advance, you can focus on reading about what is the best technique, the most efficient way of distributing content to the audience that you're searching. But first of all, know your audience, where they spend the time, what they are interested about. Try maybe to invite guests on topics that your audience is directly interested in. So try to know your audience and get there, but don't force it. Do it your way. Just adopt best practices. I'm also in your position because I also started my own online TV show recently, and I'm in a totally different position than I was in the news, presenting news. So it's not at all easy for me to be out there, to put myself online, to be visible to everybody. But it's something that I'm working on, and it comes in time. So I would suggest throw yourself out there into the conversations and just try to get used to this sometimes uncomfortable position, but in the end, it's what you want. It's what you want to be very good at, and this only comes with experience. What I would also suggest is that you don't put very high hopes on getting spectacular results from the beginning. So do not put this pressure on you. The relationship that you build with your audience, it's long term. Trust is something that you have to earn from your audience, and just focus on creating very good quality content. Your community will build by itself in the beginning, and in the meantime, you can gain the skills necessary to approach your audience on tailored ways.
Well, that sounds more doable than what I found already.
And I think it's very important that you absolutely know what works for you and what doesn't. You should just test. Does this work for me? Yes, no, optimize, pivot, switch. Because you're a different kind of personality. You are comfortable maybe on LinkedIn, but you're not very comfortable on, Instagram or TikTok. So try to see what goes with your way of being, with your style, with your personality, and even in the descriptions, even in the language that you use, the approach, the frequency of the posting. Try to see what fits you best. And then pay very close attention to your audience, because in the end, you are doing this for the audience. And your audience is the one who is the main receiver of the message. And just pay attention to the audience, and they will teach you what you need to know. At the same time, you have to find a middle way between how you keep your sense of authenticity and create content that you feel comfortable with, and that is for your heart, and create content for the audience. So you have to find a very fine balance, the famous middle way.
And by doing this is basically the way you're going to reach that fine line, right?
Yes, because you don't have to compromise your style, your personality. You don't have to sound like the best speaking people who are very famous right now. No, you just have to be yourself. Do not make any compromise in that. Deliver content that is close to your heart, and then see who comes in your community, who follows you. And then in time, you will gain more data. And you will test different kind of contents, messages, and you will learn a lot from your audience.
That's really important to me, especially to be authentic and to be, let's say, myself. And the fact that you mentioned that really gives me a different taste of like what I have to do. Yeah,
just be yourself. That's the first rule. Do it your own way, because you get inspiration from one, from another, but in the end you have your own personality. For example, I cannot be extroverted like the rest of the presenters. So I might not be very interesting in terms of voice, in terms of visual appearance, or I might not keep you that interested as an actor would do, or a very extroverted person. But I have my own different style, and if my audience likes it, it's good. If they don't, it's good. I don't need all the audiences. So the same goes for everybody. You cannot have all the audiences. You will have your niche, and your community will form by itself, drawn by the quality of the content. So I think that should be your main focus.
It's really interesting that we got to talk about this, because I wasn't planning to be put so much in front, in this episode.
It happened.
But here I am, under the loop. No, but I'm happy, that you talked about this, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that has to deal with this. I mean, I have multiple friends that have different businesses that they face the same, the same ideas and the same struggles of not being authentic, through the marketing tools they use.
Well, it depends. Well, here I was talking about a very specific case. In this case, you are the subject, and it's different because you have a podcast. But when we are talking about products, it's a totally different approach. So you have to know what the market wants, what are the tendencies, what is the consumer behavior. So it's a totally different conversation. Yeah. So you need to look at other data. You have to tailor your product to the market, or give them something so innovative they didn't even know that they need.
Sort of like a blue ocean?
Like what?
Like the blue ocean strategy kind of thing?
I don't know it.
So basically creating your own, like creating something out of the blue.
Oh, yeah.
So that you may not know that you need, but it seems to be useful, Yeah. Okay.
Identify a niche in the market. Test it. Yeah.
Okay. But now coming back to you, because I know that you like talking about yourself a lot.
It's actually the first interview, so yeah. It's interesting.
What insights have you gotten out of your career from a personal development perspective?
What have I gotten out of
insights? Insights have you gotten, out of your career from a personal development perspective?
Yeah. When I started working at 18, just before starting college, I think that the first thing that I learned that working hard really gets you where you want to go. Being very passionate about what you do is a magical ingredient. And everything else just falls into the right place. I must say that my career is defined by one thing led to another, especially in the last 6 years since I started a company. So I started to discover things on the way. I knew that I wanted to make a communication company, but I only had one part of the vision in the beginning. And then by reading so much and traveling and doing things, doing different projects, I stumbled upon new pieces of information that led me to the next thing. So one thing led me to the other. It's really interesting, and I'm still following the red wire, invisible red wire that is helping me to take best decisions for my activity.
So from a non-marketing perspective, what kind of tips and tricks do you have for the work ethic of the youth?
Do not do things that you would be ashamed later. That would keep you from looking at yourself in the mirror. So
respect towards yourself.
They're just stepping stones. You either take the challenge or refuse it. Other challenges, other options will arrive. you don't have to compromise yourself.
Or self-knowledge, because you talked about it.
Yes, self-knowledge is the key. I must say that my career evolved in direct proportion with the process of self-knowledge. So I grew professionally because I started to get to know myself better, to gain more insights about my strong skills, about my not so strong skills, and recognize when I use different strategies and tactics, to cover up things that are a bit more profound, let's say.
Okay.
When you are aware of your vulnerabilities, you know how to move into the world, how to manage yourself better, how to have better relationships, which is a totally booster for personal life and professional life events. So self-knowledge is, I think, a big key in life.
Sort of like a mind yoga, right?
Yeah.
You have to stretch it quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know if you do Ashtanga, or, the Ashtanga part of yoga.
I don't know.
No, that's the very intense part of yoga where you do the very intense stretching. You have series 1, series 2, and you get to really acrobatic moves.
Okay.
So I'm not aiming for the acrobatic moves, but one thing that helped me understand things better was when I was in a yoga class. So I was just, doing stretching, because yoga for me is stretching. It's nothing spiritual. But something very interesting happened. I was for the first time in the Ashtanga class, and the teacher was explaining the moves. So she showed us, here's the paper with all the moves from Ashtanga. This is the primary series. This is where you start as a newborn, and this is the last position where you end up, and you end your life. So all the series are just, imitations of things that happen to you in life, different positions that you find yourself struggling or enjoying life. And when I saw the set of exercise, which is the same every time you go to yoga, Ashtanga is the same. When I saw it from that perspective, everything changed. So I went there, and I sat on the mat doing the same exercises over and over again, and then I understood. Until you do not do all the set of exercises perfect, you don't go to the next level. And the interesting thing is not to go to the next level, but to focus on the journey of making each posture perfect. And then not even to focus that, but to see how you are in that posture. So it was a beautiful analogy with life, and that set of exercises really helped me to see life like that. It's not about the end result. It's not doing it perfectly. It's about repeating, because experiences happen to you, and you sometimes confront yourself with the same kind of experience or situation. And you just get acquainted to it and gain more comfort, and more ease in approaching that kind of situation.
So would you consider this part of your self-knowledge?
Yes. Because you start to pay attention at yourself, how you react in different kind of circumstances.
It's really interesting how, for example, relatively simple physical exercise can trigger something up in your mind, and perhaps even further.
It's true. It depends.
It creates sort of like a balance, if you think about it.
Yeah, I think it depends on the type of exercise, because running does one thing, lifting weights does another, yoga does another kind of thing, swimming. So it depends. I think it puts your mind in different moods every time.
Yoga in basically the definition of yoga and what the word actually means union. So the union of like the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And that's something that I found really interesting when I was reading about it. It's something else. It's a different kind of like exercise. I don't know. As you described it as well, it's sort of it kind of like brings you to the journey of observing yourself and being a bit more introspective to your movement, to your flexibility, to your as it develops with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably in time, if I would pay more attention, I would reach a bit more spirituality of yoga, but not yet. It hasn't happened. For me, it's just stretching and observing how I react to stretching.
For how long are you doing this now?
It's a great way. I'm not very constant, so I started in 2012.
Okay.
No, but I was not constant. So I'm more constant in the last 2 years, I must say. Yeah.
Okay.
Now my body needs yoga. So I feel once a week, I feel so much tension stored in my muscles that I feel the need to stretch. So now it's like once a week.
That's great. I think it's a great practice to have, especially if you have this kind of,
Yeah, true, yeah. Yeah, if you can with weights or other kinds of physical exercise, I think it's great. Yeah.
So what are you reading lately?
Oh, what am I reading? I'm reading about connection. So it's a lot of psychology. Connection, how to handle conflicts, difficult conversations, on how to approach them. I'm reading a very interesting book on human biology and how the organism produces hormones and substances that affect our brain, therefore our behavior. So I'm trying to understand the whole human being, how it is affected by external or internal influences.
And this is like your regular topic of reading?
No, I have different topics. It depends on the projects that I'm involved, so they change all the time. But yeah, sometimes I read about art, technology.
Biotechnology?
No, technology.
Technology, okay.
Yeah, mainly AI. I'm passionate about
Okay.
subject. It depends. It depends on the project, my interests. I find a new subject, I find it interesting. I do research there. So it depends. It's not a constant thing.
Oana, what was the hardest or the most challenging part of your journey?
That's an interesting question. I think.
If you had any, by the way. So, maybe you didn't.
I don't have any tragic story, so yeah. Well,
it's not about tragic here. It's more like the one that.
The hard part is going into entrepreneurship. Yeah. Man, that's a journey. That's something that I wasn't really prepared for, and I had to learn everything by myself. So that was hard because I didn't save, of course. I didn't have any mentor, so I had to learn it all by myself. That was hard because I had no business experience, and even though I was doing almost the same job as I was doing in television, but at a smaller scale, it's not the same thing. To assemble teams, to work with freelancers, and to have a satisfied customer. So the customer part, the sales part, Lord, yeah, that was very challenging. I couldn't.
Especially because you're an introvert, right? As well.
Yes, I'm an introvert, and if you ask me about my job, about what I do, or about my projects, about how do I see this, I can talk, but it's very hard for me to go and convince somebody. But that was a big challenge for me to develop skills in that area, but I did. I did. So the hardest part was overcoming the obstacles in my mind. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The obstacles with regards to entrepreneurship and starting on your own?
Yeah, because it's not just the technical and business details that you must master in the end. It's human interaction. It's a mix of everything. So it's my personal development went hand in hand with my professional development. That's for sure. So yeah. Was
that something that you were aiming to do, or it was something that just happened?
It just happened. I had to. I was forced to. Yeah, in order to adapt to the market and to the industry, you have to do that. So you have to gain a lot of knowledge in marketing, so a lot of professional information to be up to date to an industry that is changing so rapid. But you have to be up to date with all the new trends. And then, besides that, you have to, to maintain good relations with customers, to do project management, to refine your skills in project management, to do team management, to make sure you have a great collaboration with the professionals that you work with, because you want them on your next project as well. So you have to do a mix and a balance, a dance between all these areas, which is challenging but great. It helps you grow.
You're basically like a jack of all trades, right? I mean, you kind of have to.
You kind of have to, yeah. No. But in the same time, I discovered where I like to play my part and where I know I fit and I function best. So it helped me gain a lot of knowledge about myself. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I have one last question for you. But this one I'm still a little unsure if... what is your life purpose?
Oh.
Why are you here?
Yeah, that was a question that I received a few years ago, and I have the same answer. My life purpose is to live life, just to enjoy it. That's it.
What does enjoyment mean to you?
I was talking before about focus, being on the journey, not in the end result. So with time, I switched focus from the end result to the journey. So it applies also on the life. I'm not setting, I have my goals, but I think the journey is more interesting, and I've got a lot of examples that happened to me to prove me that the focus is the journey. Being present in my life, being present in the interactions that I have with the people in my life. Just, being here, living the present. That's the purpose.
I really love, for example, this question because it's so broad, most of the times, and sometimes it's pretty hard to answer it. But I love the fact that, sometimes you still, if somebody would ask me this question, I would be like, for half an hour, I'd be like, I know, but I don't know how to put it in words because, maybe it doesn't make sense, I think it's a question that always brings you sort of like a vague answer, as it's something a bit more difficult to reproduce, something that you know inside, and you have to bring it back up, So, yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago, I would have said, to do something great, to leave my mark on this planet. No, not anymore. No, I don't think that's the purpose, at least not for me. No, just to be present, to enjoy, to accept whatever there is, because it's good and bad and everything in between. Accept all the nuances.
I'm going to ask you a question that is a bit more profound.
Sure.
What do you think? Do you think there is acceptance or choice?
In terms of what?
Acceptance, for example, we accept life as it is. And choosing, when it comes to choosing what life we desire to live.
Oh, that was my, that was my dilemma for many, many years. And I've listened to your podcast. I'm also a big fan of Tao Te Ching, and I'm very much on that reflective and philosophical part of existence. Mm-hmm. Just being the observer and accepting it, but also I'm also very practical at the same time. So I think it's a mix of the two, because I couldn't be very practical, but I couldn't also be just very philosophical about life. I think I'm situated in the middle.
In the middle, yeah.
But I need to have both sides
Right.
to function properly. So if I do too much action, because in my activity, in my professional activity, I'm very much focused on getting things done, on taking projects to their good completion. So I'm focused on action. But when I don't work, I'm passionate about more profound things. So I studied philosophy. I was in the national contest for philosophy, so I represented my country in Romania in philosophy, and I studied political science because of philosophy. So philosophy is like that wire in my life.
Okay.
And it used to be my dilemma regarding what do? You just observe everything as it is, or you create things as you want.
It's very interesting you mentioned that, because if I may rephrase what you just said, you said that the thread behind my life is philosophical, like what is behind. Whereas you also said that I'm very technical, which implies in a way, if I put it like this, acceptance of the ways life is, the ways life shows us that it is, which is a bit, if you want to see it, is a bit technical.
Yes.
And then the other part of like choosing, which makes you think a little bit more, is the philosophical part. So it's very interesting the way you put these two things, because I could see the acceptance and the choosing portrayed exactly what you just said.
Yeah, because there are different parts of me that are in contrast. But
Exactly. That's Tao.
Yeah. Yes, but I don't feel the need to put myself in a box anymore. So I just accept this part of myself that needs action and very specific things to do, and very practical, very pragmatic. But I also accept the part that wonders, what about life? Very philosophical, seeing life from multiple points of view, and look at it through the eyes of the philosophers who have tried to explain the nature of reality, of life, of human nature, and all that jazz. Yeah, so I'm okay with both parts.
Yeah, I can see that we got pretty deep with this one.
Yeah. So same in my job, actually. I'm also very creative and also very operational, very practical. But I cannot do all the time the creative part, and I would be very bored if I would just do the operational part. So I need to have both sides of my brain.
Right.
Yes, activated.
Oana, thank you so much once again for coming over today and for sharing your stories. I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate the balance you've created in your life and the way you got to the point you are now. Oana is currently working at her own company, Cooled, on branding and brand management. I will add everything in the description of the episode. Feel free to check her work out. Thank you again, Oana. It was a pleasure having you over.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
I wish you all the best in everything you're doing, and hope to see you soon as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this was your host Dragos, and I would like to thank you for tuning in today. Next time we'll be talking to a Californian. She's a fantastic life coach and a yoga instructor whom I had the opportunity to meet during our coaching course in the US. Stay tuned if you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to give us feedback, subscribe, and follow. Until next time, stay here and now. Goodbye.